Welcome to The Spread, Nesson's sports betting podcast, formerly the Nesson football/betting podcast, a weekly podcast about football and betting. But now it's a weekly podcast about sports and betting. So
I'm Rickey Doyle.
you are Nesson.com's Rickey Doyle. I am Nesson.com's Mike Cole. I am joined once again, and as always, by you. I just feel like I kind of have to get that in every time. Yeah. Rickey, we're back.
Yeah, we are.
We are back in more ways than one. We are here to continue our podcast that we've been doing for a long time. It is now a vodcast. I think it still is a podcast. I think it's not. It's more of a and not a or.
Amorphous.
Yeah.
You know, we're versatile.
Yeah, so hopefully, I mean, there should be at least maybe 2 or 3 people not related to us who are familiar with this brand of podcasting within the Nesson Vodcast Network. But for those who are joining us for the first time, we have met every day. Well, I mean, I guess we have. But we have met every week during the NFL season for the last, 10 years or so.
About that, yeah.
To talk about,
Start talking in decades.
Good God, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
To give our NFL picks just on a weekly podcast with this Nesson Vodcast Network, which is an exciting time here at Nesson with a whole bunch of other shows being launched. We are relaunched, I guess you could call it.
It's a new era.
Added
New
into
generation.
the fold, kept into the fold. I'm not even entirely sure. We're kind of just, hey, we're over here. But yeah, so we're back. We're going to do this year long now. We're going to do it every week. We will continue to talk about football. We're going to talk about other stuff as well. This week, we've got kind of a little bit of an NFL draft recap going on. I got little fuzzies going here and there.
Yeah, I thought you were swatting flies. It's like, here we go. I mean, I had a spider on the chair. And swatting flies. You had a bee situation a few years back.
So, yeah. As I was saying before I interrupted myself, we're going to talk about a little bit of everything across the sports world. I think once the NFL season rolls around, we'll kind of get back into the original tenor or feel of this here podcast/vodcast. But we're launching this thing on the first week of May.
Yeah,
so there's
a good time.
There's a lot of stuff to get into that's not football. And we'll tackle that today with some draft talk or some draft recap, maybe a little bit of projecting forward, talk some futures, talk Tom Brady because that's kind of what we always tend to fall back on. And then we'll get into our Kentucky Derby extravaganza, which is
you're going to want to get your attire ready now.
Yeah.
Pour them in juleps.
I don't know. Seersucker, is that a thing that's in the Derby?
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like we are just we're two guys who like to talk to each other or at least can stomach it. I feel like I've run through this math already, but I'll do it again, so to speak.
Yeah, please do. I think I might have heard this before.
So we've been doing the spread for a while.
How long?
That's the thing. Well, there are probably people within our own company who don't realize how long we've been doing this, or maybe even that this exists, or even that you and I exist as human beings.
Yes.
So there's a lot of people right now who are like, who are these guys? And why does that one guy's eye look so weird? My allergies are killing me.
Again,
get
still,
that out of here.
really.
I'm just dying over here. We'll get into that more later with the Derby. But so I went back and looked at it. So we moved over to Spotify with our various podcasts, some of them that are still standing, some that are not. Back at the start of 2020 season, we kicked off the Spotify era, I guess if you want to call it that. Since then, we've done 94 episodes together. Wow. And that's only just at the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. I think we probably did at least 5 seasons before that, maybe 20 episodes a season. That's 100 plus the 94. Let's just say ballpark 200, because who knows? Like, there's stuff on SoundCloud. There's stuff in the cloud. There's stuff we don't even know. We've probably lost it. I probably have a stolen iPad at home from the office that has something on it. But I've said let's 200 episodes, 45 minutes an episode. That's 9,000 minutes of dialogue between you and I. That's roughly 150 hours. You divide that by, I think 24 is 6.25. So about 6. We're about, so that would be what? What's a quarter? We're like 4 a.m. on Sunday morning right now, which just seems like the perfect time for us to have a conversation. That'll be up to about 7 days by the end of the summer, probably. I'm not going to do that math in my head. But I think we've kind of made this point a couple times in the last 2 days, you and I just talking to each other. We have worked together. I mean, our time together goes back, you've been here for 13 years now?
13, yeah.
Which is insane. Yeah. And I hate a lot of people. That hate's probably strong.
Say it with your chest, Mike.
Yeah.
Absolutely despise a lot of people.
That one comes out and it's like, I can't bring that one back in.
No,
that is.
so I can get out of the cage.
Not I'm not saying I hate people I work with. I'm just saying in general, like the guy, over at Marshall's who gave me the whatever. It's hard to get along with a lot of people over the course of a period of time. We've been talking on and off, not always recorded, luckily, for 13 years, and we're somehow not totally sick of each other.
You would have thought there'd be at least one incident where one of us Bart Simpson choked the other.
It is nuts. Like, I don't think, like, you can, little annoyances here and there maybe, but, like, I've never been like, I mean, I talk, how much do I want to divulge here? Let's just say I've never gone behind your back and be like, can you believe what
thanks, I appreciate that.
There are other people I may have done that with. So, I think again, this is technically going to be
no parking lot squabbles is what you're saying.
Yeah, right. Yeah. This is technically a sports betting podcast. But I kind of look at it as like we're two guys who work together. We generally seem to still enjoy just talking to each other, and we'll kind of weave it in here and there. We are recreational sports bettors. So like we're kind of trying to bring like that 95% that aren't super sharp, aren't wagering $1,000 on an NFL game or an NBA game or whatever.
If you want to tail us, fine. You want to fade us, fine.
Hopefully you're entertained.
Right.
Let's
just let it rip together.
No. I said again, we put together a PowerPoint to kind of state our case for various stuff, just to have it on the you gotta cover.
That's in the cloud.
That's in the cloud too. We recently said we were an NFL podcast with a casual betting slant that doesn't take itself seriously, spotlighting the biggest football storylines in a way that's informative yet relatable. So I mean that's pretty much it right there. But we'll kind of fold in some other stuff like horse racing.
I think relatable is the key thing. We go through we deal with a lot of plights that I'm sure will be discussed.
Yeah, right.
At various points, like your allergies, for example.
My allergies.
Like I'm itching to, no pun intended, to hear about these allergies.
I don't. Yeah, it looks like I have a lazy. I'm very self-conscious right now. We've done this thing again. It goes back, like I said, 10 years. We started off in what's literally called the guest conference room here. The acoustics, as you might imagine, are terrible. If you go back and listen to that, I'm sure it was pretty bad. Yeah. Also, we were sharing a Blue Snowball microphone. So we were like, it was very kind of like the
wiring on it was a little suspect
of Lady and the Tramp, where it's like we're kind of sharing a pasta dinner. The wiring sketchy there. Caught fire one point.
It's probably a good thing those files don't exist because we probably, we've come a long way since we were ripping off Brock Lesnar's
We
theme
infringed
music.
On so many copyrights.
ASCAP.
I think it was under ASCAP. I'm not entirely sure. Don't check the work. Don't check the work there.
Please don't.
I've recorded from a Airbnb in Nashville. You have recorded from a hotel room in Arizona and probably other places.
I think we did it on a phone once. There was a phone involved one time.
Sure. Yep.
Like we had to do some.
Yep.
Like we had to drawing the play up in the dirt, basically.
We did an entire season from our own homes in the middle of the pandemic. We've done that. I went
outside.
What's that?
Outside?
We were outside once.
Yeah.
We were at a restaurant once.
Oh, yeah, at Jambalaya.
There was very good jambalaya for a restaurant that I think is like changed 3 times since we did that.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything over there now.
No, I think it's a barren wasteland.
And that is not because they shelled out all their dollars on a sponsorship or anything.
That's a good point. They've never financially recovered from that. Maybe that's our new studio down the road. Who knows? It's literally right down the road. You and our former co-host Andre Kachatourian carried on while I was on my honeymoon, while I was on paternity leave. We've had fire alarms interrupt us. We've had very, 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 very important people interrupt us. Without realizing that they were interrupting us. Yep. That is gone to the
cloud audio issues.
We've had audio issues.
We had video issues.
We've had audio issues back in the day. We've had audio issues. That comes to the territory.
That's what we say. Hopefully it's relatable because we all deal with this crap.
We thrive in that adversity.
Absolutely.
We thrive in that. We're just on trying to live our lives.
What are we going to talk about again?
I don't know. Let's get into it. We'll start with the NFL draft. Or just kind of picking up the pieces for the NFL draft, kind of talking about some of the big picture stuff from the NFL draft. Like, again, we're in a tough spot here. It's, we're recording this on May 1st. It'll roll out May 2nd. I probably shouldn't have dated us, but so we are like, again, if you're to rank the 52 weeks from a football standpoint, this week is probably in the 40s.
Which is going to force us to get a little creative.
That's why we're talking about more than football, but we got to start there. But like, the draft is probably a little too far gone you and I we're not graders. We do not cast
make that
judgment.
abundantly
We don't
clear.
have, we're not here to judge people. So it's kind of hard to do that. It's kind of hard to do winners and losers. It's kind of hard to dig into the film because, again, it's too far gone from the draft itself. But we're also, when does training camp start? Like 2 months. So we're just in a no man's land here.
Yeah,
but there are some.
The football community is about to go on vacation for a little bit.
And here we are.
Corner in the market.
Come get some.
Corner in the
but
market.
We're also a sports pod, so we're gonna do other
Keep
stuff.
that in mind.
So, what do you have any lingering draft takes 1 week later?
Well, I said this to you a little while ago. That
I don't recall. Can you refresh my memory?
That the draft in general, it gives me a greater appreciation for people.
Wow, that is turning over a new leaf.
Well, because while I'm in the fall and the winter months, I'm out there. I'm shoveling my driveway. I'm getting ready for the holidays, and clearly
you're prepping for the spread.
I mean, that goes without saying, but clearly, based on what I've seen and read, and all of the expertise that is floating out in the ether right now. There's a huge segment of the population that stays up late to watch Pac-12 games throughout all those months because now they have all their film study and they're able to just grade these picks and grade these drafts right on the spot, just like that. Yep. Winners, losers, the whole 9 yards. You and I don't have that capability, I don't think.
Or desire, honestly. Yeah. And I guess maybe that is the capability to want to do that.
I think you and I are qualified to probably talk about the draft in terms of the NFL landscape, like roster building, philosophically.
I think we all exist in this ecosystem, right? And I think it's a food chain. Food chain's probably a bad way of putting it because it's kind of like saying that their work isn't as important as ours, and like we don't do anything important, but like we need I need the info, the content that they put together and produce to study so I can have a half-assed
take. It's a lot of trust,
take.
Mike. It's like you're taking people at their word.
It's kind of beautiful if you think about it, where it's just like we all come together to be like, these guys are going to grind out the tape and they kind of hand it off to people like us who just, like I said, want to half-ass an opinion to have content for a podcast once a week or however long it is and to maybe make a couple bets or to... So what you're saying, feel better about our own teams. It's important. They're like the plankton of the NFL ecosystem.
True. So what you're saying though is your basement, which if anybody's listened to the previous version of the spread, went through a huge flood. You didn't have to worry about your projector, that you were conducting film study on.
No, I keep the canisters of film up on top. It's kind of a ledge thing. Yeah. So no, we are good there. Yeah. That is. I hadn't thought about the flood in a while, so I appreciate that.
Sorry for reopening that old wound.
By the way, no free ads here. Maybe we can get to a point where I can maybe be a spokesperson for something. There is a pest control company in this greater Boston area that I would give a thumbs up all across the board. I have not seen a mouse in like 6 months. These guys are great.
That's the key. Maybe we start going door to door and ask if they want to sponsor us.
Oh, that's that. Quick tangent. Kid came to my door the other day. Did I tell you the story yet?
No.
Kid came to my door, knocked on the door. I ignored it at first because that's what I do.
Oh, you pulled like the lights off on Halloween.
The dog started freaking out. My wife was gone, so like there was at least one car
Take
gone.
a candy from the bowl.
He knocked again. I'm like, I looked through the window. I was like, oh, it's a kid. Whatever. I'll go see it. He was looking for cans and bottles. Because he goes, do you have any cans and bottles? I'm just, I was like, I thought he was maybe for a little league.
Yeah.
And then like he realized he didn't tell me what it's for. He's like, I was just trying to buy Red Sox tickets. I was like, that's adorable and wholesome. So I go in and I couldn't find any. I'm like, let me go come with me out to the recycling thing and I'll dig in. And so I open it up and I'm looking in there and I can't find any. I feel so bad. I told the kid, I was like, I got plenty.
Send her to my dad's house. It'd be a gold mine.
So I'm looking and
that guy's got more cans.
I am half of my body is basically inside the thing. And all of a sudden the lid comes down and slams me in the head. And the kid just goes, I think I'm all right.
Yeah, I think I'll just go to the next house.
Yeah.
This guy doesn't have it in order.
I guess that could be us kind of going door to door looking for maybe
cans after this debacle.
Anyway, Caleb Williams went number 1 overall.
Yeah, he did.
What do you think about the Bears? What do you think about Caleb Williams? Is this the time? Is he the kind of guy that a team can build a Super Bowl caliber franchise around. Is this the time where they buck the trend and he's not a quarterback who stinks?
Yeah, so right after I said we don't know our ass from our elbow when it comes to NFL draft prospects, yeah, I think he's going to be the next. No, I don't. Honestly, I mean, I don't know, but like
8 Super Bowls, just like you said,
yeah,
right?
Just rattle them off. Sure, you know what I mean? Like it's a pick you have to make, right? Like I don't think there was any real question as to who was going number one. You and I informally we had a little exercise we were doing in terms of like if you were starting a team today, everybody with their current contract situations included in that conversation, where does he rank among quarterbacks? And I think there's a pretty clear tier.
Is it bold to be like he's one of the 10 first guys to get drafted just based on projectability, contract, things like that?
I don't think so. I mean, because if you're doing it largely on projectability.
And if you believe in the player, then
sure. Yeah. I mean,
I guess we just invented the NFL draft.
Well, all right. So what quarterbacks would you take over Caleb Williams? Right. I think there's
so that's a different conversation, I suppose. But like, yeah, I mean, Patrick Mahomes probably.
Right. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen,
Lamar Jackson,
Joe Burrow,
I guess. Although he might be stinky.
Whoa.
It's just
zesty.
Kind of dining out on the fact that you went to a Super Bowl and lost and you won a national champion with a lot of good players around. I'm just saying.
All right.
Watch this space for maybe a developing take there.
I like it.
So him, C.J. Stroud, especially when you start factoring in the quarterback or the contract. Jordan Love, probably pretty projectable.
Nobody's higher on Jordan Love than this podcast.
This is the Jordan Love podcast. Yeah, just throw Jordan Love in the title, please. You guys, whoever's putting this up, like they'll do numbers. Don't worry, trust us.
Big numbers, guys. Big numbers, guys.
Yeah. And then it gets to like Justin Herbert, Tua. That neighborhood is probably where it's like, if you have to tell me right now, do you want Justin Herbert knowing you have to pay him and he's already 4 years into his career, or you can have this new shiny toy who hasn't even played a snap, but also hasn't been like what
moldable?
Well, yeah, sure. Starting off on what's going to be a 5-year controlled contract, I'd have to sit there and really think about that. And I like the idea of Justin Herbert, I suppose. I mean, he has never really won anything, and that team has failed to meet expectations. How much of that is his fault? I don't know, but like it does make you step back and be like, I guess in 2 years, Caleb Williams could do the same thing. So, like, that's, I think, where the conversation starts. I think Tua is a good one, too. It's like, you go put Caleb Williams in Mike McDaniel's offense with those weapons. I had to sit there's too many Mikes and Macs now. I had to make sure I was saying the right one. There's Josh McDaniels, there's Mike McDaniel, there's Mike McCarthy, there's whoever's coaching the Seahawks now. I think Caleb Williams could be pretty much the same guy. So I think he's right in that neighborhood, which I guess would be around 7 to 10.
Yeah, that was the toss-up that kind of stopped me in my tracks a little bit. 'Cause I got past that, like the big four of Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, Burrow. I'm higher on Burrow than you.
And like Stroud and Love are starting to bang on those doors.
Stroud and Love, for me, it's like you're dealing with the small sample size, obviously, and it'll be interesting to see how they adjust this coming season.
If they both take a major step forward or backward, I don't think either would be shocking.
Right. But for me, it's like there's the tangible NFL production that you've already seen.
Also, I have to have an opinion right now.
Plus there's room for growth.
Yeah.
Like they're sort of in it's the same conversation kind of as with Caleb Williams minus the actual production. The Herbert thing is like the contract is big there. And also like we are entering year 5 of Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
And I get you can talk about the surrounding environment and whether he's been put in a position to succeed with the offensive philosophy, the weapons, the protection up front. We're crapping it off the pot sort of deal.
That's the second working title to our podcast. The spread, crapping it off the pot.
So yeah, that's the one that it gives me okay, it's tricky.
He's been on the pot for a while and had a very big meal beforehand. Like we're all kind of eagerly anticipating
just waiting for it. Yeah, we got the roll of toilet paper ready to go, and it's just he hasn't delivered.
That is, as a father of a 3-year-old, We are in that right now. I hear you. My kid might be Justin Herbert. Yeah, I don't know. Caleb Williams, like I'm trying not to be unfair because like I look at him, the size, he's 6'1", like 205, 210, somewhere in there. Like that's not diminutive, but it's also not huge.
Yeah.
I'm not totally
I honestly
sold
thought he
on
was
that.
taller than that.
Yeah. The skill set, like he does things that you look at a guy like Mahomes, like that type of throw where it's a lot of off platform, make it up as you go kind of stuff. And I guess he probably will grow into a more mature, both physically, mentally, emotionally, football-y person.
Yeah.
I gotta see it first with him. Like I'm not sold on it yet. Stop me. Maybe you haven't heard this take before. His name is Caleb. I don't totally trust the name Caleb. Nathan is in there too.
Yeah.
Nathan and Caleb is just something about that. I think I probably grew up with a Nathan or Caleb I didn't like, and it's kind of just bird on the back of my head. Yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, maybe if his name was Jake, it would be a different story. Or I mean, CJ is a great name.
Yeah. What is Caleb Williams' middle name? I'll look that up.
Frank?
Yeah.
I don't know. So like
CF Williams would be a great like. I don't know, some sort of manufacturer in the 1920s.
I will say, we've known this for a while that he's going to go to Chicago. I'm stoked that he's going to a big city, a big franchise, because I do think he is going to change the way some people, or maybe a lot of people, look at the quarterback at that level, or just maybe NFL players in general. I think he's just kind of a weird dude, not necessarily in a bad way. I just think he's different. He's a different cat. So like I think he's going to be good for the sport whether he sucks or whether he is better than Justin
He's
Herbert.
going to be a lightning rod for sure.
Sure, that is a term I've heard before.
And yeah, I agree. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Cuz like I think if he sucks, he's got like that, like him going into the stands and like crying to his mom is just, whether it's fair or not, that's the kind of thing that people just always continue to remember. Like it's going to be memes, it's going to be stuff like that. But if he's awesome, he's going to talk his talk too. Like it's in your face no matter what.
And he also is going to a situation where he doesn't necessarily have excuses.
Yeah.
Like there's plenty of surrounding talent that, I mean, he's kind of expected to hit the ground running here.
Yeah. And what's shaping up to be a tough division. That division is kind of awesome now.
So Caleb Williams is the clear rookie of the year favorite.
Yeah.
FanDuel has him at plus 210. The second shortest odds belong to Marvin Harrison Jr. at 6-1.
Yeah.
You get down the board a little bit. Jaden Daniels 9-1. JJ McCarthy 10-1. Malik Neighbors 14-1.
Neighbors is my pick.
Drake May 15-1. Xavier Worthy 16-1. I won't keep going, but it's a clear Caleb Williams and everybody else. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is obviously 6-1. It's not too far behind. Which that's another interesting one. It's like, is there? If you're gonna like list players who are under the most pressure this season, I feel like Kyler Murray's up there.
Maybe. Did this kind of reset his clock a little bit? Like,
I mean, he's another one though. He's kind of running out of excuses, right? It's like
he's in a tough spot.
Justin Herbert conundrum.
I know he hasn't had 8 different coaches, but it feels like he's had 8 different coaches. It's a lot of starts and stops with the injuries and things like that. But I do agree, like the division's as ripe.
Well,
as
we didn't
it's
even
been
mention him in that previous conversation.
Sure,
like is that a testament to how far down the list he is, or
no? I think he's pretty close. I don't know.
Yeah,
so I think they're kind of similar, right? I think that's I Caleb Williams might be Kyler Murray without the stink on him, which again the stink isn't even necessarily his fault. It's again the system's been an issue with the injuries. He doesn't have a ton of talent around him, but it's just like this is the point. Like there's no slam dunk. So. But going back to those odds, I like Neighbors. I look at like those receivers that aren't Marvin Harrison Jr. or Rome Odunze, because like if Rome Odunze has a great season, Caleb Williams can get most of the credit, and like Marvin Harrison Jr. probably has to have a really really sick season. So like I'd rather. And what was it, 6-1 for him?
For Harrison, yes.
I'd rather chase like that 14 or 16 neighborhood for Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be a quarterback or wide receiver, right? Like, you're not going to get an offensive guard.
That would be sick, though.
17 of the last 20 winners drafted in round 1. 10 of the last 20 were quarterbacks. Tight end never won the award. So, like, I wanted to find a running back, honestly, just to, like, from a value standpoint. Last one being Saquon Barkley in 2018. Kamara in 2017. He was a little bit of a run there. Todd Gurley in 15. But I'm just like, I don't know. So maybe there's some value down the, like, in order for a rookie running back to win this award, it'd probably have to, you would need some sort of shakeup on the depth chart out of him, injury or something.
Yeah, I also think too, like, if one of those quarterbacks plays well, the conversation just anything
it ends, right?
Resembling well, like then it's just over. Yeah.
So if I, in that
like,
case,
look at the conversation. I don't mean, I'm sorry for interrupting, but like look at the CJ Stroud thing last year, right? When he got the concussion, it was like all of a sudden it was like, oh, it's Puka Nacua, like hey, he's 20-1. Before you know it, like it was back to like minus 2,000. It takes a lot to usurp
knocking over props.
Yeah,
spoiler.
My bad.
Stick around. So I mean, for me, I think I'd probably look at Jaden Daniels at 9-1 because I don't want to take the favorite at nearly 2-1.
Yeah,
and then maybe a wide receiver down the board a little bit.
Somebody
like Brian Thomas, 30-1. Maybe he goes to Jacksonville, plays the Calvin Ridley role.
Maybe
I don't know.
I can't shake the illusion of Daniels in like shorts and a t-shirt. It just is like.
He's very skinny. Very skinny man.
It's a tough. That's the other thing. Richardson, there's another guy we didn't talk about it, but that guy's built like a brick outhouse, and he got hurt a bunch last year. So I'm scared for Jaden Daniels. All right,
would you make it the Michael Penix real quick? The Michael Penix pick.
Well, in our fake episode last week, I had him at 8-1 or whatever it was to be a top 10 pick. I didn't expect it to be there. We kind of did touch on it real quick.
And didn't we also touch on?
This is a conversation that only you and I heard.
I know, but we had floated around like if after you had identified him as a potential top 10 pick, we were like, all right, well, where could he land or whatever. And just floated because I'd read it somewhere. Like somebody's like, hey, don't.
Schefter had it. Yeah.
Don't sleep on the Falcons, which we were both like.
I know.
Blasphemy.
Well, I still think it was a bad pick, but like again, whatever.
Yeah,
because he might turn out to be great, and like we all knew Cousins was going to be a bridge, but I just think like that division is another one that's pretty wide open. Like they have a talented roster, in my opinion. So like go augment that roster and try to go on a run here while you can, and worry about the other stuff later. I do understand like the long term thinking; it makes sense, but like it's just the draft capital that they had to use to do that. I feel like they could have been better suited to do something else.
Yeah, no, I mean I agree, but I will say it was a good pick for the draft from like an unpredictability.
Yeah, it's the only one. Like we were sitting here in our fake show last week talking about like trades and stuff like that. Everything went chalk.
Yeah,
so
bad for copy editors. The other thing too is like I have no problem with a team showing a little conviction. I like that aspect of it.
I agree.
Like
because they're like the number doesn't matter to us. Like it's our turn to pick.
If you truly believe that he is the guy.
Yeah.
Throw everything else out.
That's fair.
That position is so hard to fill, and it's just like maybe
because like he probably doesn't make them any worse this year, so they're still liable to win that division. And you could, if they hit on every pick after him, now you're ready to go.
Like I think the Bo Nix pick going to Denver is probably worse than this pick, because I feel like with Atlanta, was it a reach? Sure, but to your point, like I don't necessarily think it sets you back. Denver goes, and what was that, at 12? They took next.
12, yeah.
That feels like a reach. Again, going back to what the hell do I know? But that feels like a reach based on everything that I've read and heard.
Yeah.
And that's a pick that could set you back because they're not in the position that Atlanta is in terms of like their division, the surrounding talent. I mean, they got multiple holes they got to fill all up and down that roster. And they're like, well, he's the best quarterback, and we need a quarterback, so sure, we'll take him. It's like, well, in that case, you should have just taken the best player available and addressed quarterback next year or whatever. But
that's fair. Let's go from so those are guys who have yet to play in the NFL. Let's go from them to somebody who may never play in the NFL again. Probably won't. Guy's been retired for a year now? Tom Brady.
That's one thing we're not going to do is we're not going to talk about anybody who has actually played in the league. We like to speak in hypotheticals because then it absolves us of all blame moving forward.
So Tom Brady, a guy we've heard of, spoken about a lot, probably more than anyone else over the course of this illustrious podcast, dating back all those years.
Although Jordan Love he's on the stretch. He's
coming up on the outside.
He is. He's hugging the turn. If you want to look ahead to the Derby talk.
So Brady went on a vodcast. It looked like with a haircut man, a barber with a.
That's
couple
one thing
face
we haven't
tattoos.
done. We haven't got each other's hair yet. Come in here. You can line me up one day.
We haven't got face tattoos yet either. So I think this was all. I wrote a story about this for Nesson.com. Did a little digging. It was all part of this is all related to Brady, like the production company, that guy. Like there's a lot of Brady ties. I think this was just a way to drum up talk about Brady. The Noble was everywhere, so I don't put any stock in this. But let's just mess around.
Yeah,
he kind of toyed with the idea or teased the idea of coming back. He even mentioned the Patriots. Gerard Mayo went on the radio this week, had a chance to respond, said, he wanted him to come in here and coach. If he comes in here once again, the best player will play, but you got to come in here and compete. He loves competition. But he did say he doubt he'd be walking through those doors anytime soon. But let's just say he did.
Yeah.
Let's just say so. I think this week the tickets go on sale for that Schmoz Fest down there at Gillette.
The fact that it's just it's new information just dribbling out once every 2 weeks.
It's all just, but I think it's convenient.
Tell me
so let's just say June 12th, he stands up there and says, thank you for all the support of the years. Oh, by the way, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
First of all, if I said you have to bet $50 on it, what's the number that you would have to put for it to feel comfortable that he was coming back? Like 10-1, 20-1, 50-1. Like, what are the chances? Let's talk about something that's never going to happen. What are the chances that he actually does come back and play for
40-1.
40-1? That's fair, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a good little piece of change. So, yeah, I think there's a chance he comes back and plays again, which is insane to even say and think about. If it does happen, it's probably in the middle of a season. And especially if he stinks at TV, he's just like, screw this, I'm getting out of here.
Yep.
But let's, again, playing our hypothetical here. Patriots, by the way, 180-1 to win the Super Bowl right now. Only Carolina is worse at FanDuel Sports Desk. FanDuel Sports Desk. When we started this podcast, Sports Desk was probably a thing. So,
yeah.
Only Carolina is worse. Let's say he announces on the 12th he's coming back. Where do their odds go to, do you think? I have a number in mind. I'd probably bet it.
I think they'll. All right, I'm trying to think of teams that they might leapfrog. So, probably in the AFC, Denver, Tennessee, Vegas. I honestly, I don't think the line moves a ton.
Wow. I would have put it down 75 or 60. So I'd probably bet it just for the fun of it.
Yeah, I think they probably leapfrog those three teams, and plus, if you want to look to the NFC, maybe Washington, Arizona, Minnesota, New Orleans, that sort of tier.
Yeah, there's just so much unknown that it's hard to. The more I think about it, it's silly.
It is. They're not going to win that division, Brady or no Brady. It's.
Probably not. They're 22-1 to win the division.
22-1 to win the division. I mean, just think of his last year in New England, his last year in Tampa, where the supporting cast just weren't there.
He was so frustrated with better teams.
Right. This is. I mean, it just doesn't. The win total, the Patriots win total is set at 5.5.
5.5 with juice to the under.
So maybe that gets up to 7.5 or something.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe where you'll see the most.
They're a team you wouldn't want to see in the playoffs, but they probably wouldn't get there.
Yeah, it's just
James K. Polk,
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean, look, we saw what his teams looked like in his final seasons, and this team is so devoid of proven talent across the board on both sides that I think it would remain pretty ugly. I don't think he's gonna change a whole lot.
Yeah.
Also hasn't played in 2 years.
That's fair. Yeah. So, one place we might find Tom Brady this week.
That would be a bad move too, just in general if you're the Patriots.
Yeah, they can't do it. I know.
I don't care if he shows up to one Patriot place tomorrow and is like, "Hey, Bobby, I want to get back in there."
Bob would do it though. That's just so messed up about the whole.
But I mean, enough time has passed, and imagine the situation that would put Drake May in. Right now, he's.
But if he's gonna sit, I can't.
But sitting behind Jacoby Brissett is much different than sitting behind Tom Brady.
Yeah, it's worse.
I disagree.
For 1 year.
I think the competitive nature in Brady, like, he's not going to groom him. He's going to try to put him out of a job.
Through osmosis, you could probably learn more than
maybe. I don't know. I feel like Brady is so super competitive that he would withhold information.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'd be, like Mayo talked about the coach. I think he'd be a terrible coach, Brady.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, you're too good.
Also now, I mean, Drake May is filling Mac Jones' shoes, not Tom Brady's shoes.
That's a good point. And then, yeah, you're putting him in a tough spot. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. All right. That was silly. So, like,
you mentioned he might come back mid-season, though. Or you think he could? Like, you're not ruling that out. So
I guess. It would have to be like the tailor-made situation, like Dallas or something like that.
There's only
if somebody gets hurt.
There's only one team that I look at right now, and I'm like, he could sign there right now, and it would make sense to me. And it's the Raiders.
Well, that's the other thing, too. We didn't even talk about that. It's like the only team he could probably sign with.
Right. Yeah. Conflict of interest or whatever. But, like,
be an owner.
But coming out of the draft with no quarterback, you're sitting there empty-handed, solid wide receivers with Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers, the guy he played with. Brock Bowers is kind of that Gronk role.
Brock Bowers looks like a rookie of the year.
They drafted the tight end last year.
All right.
Obviously, they improved defensively. I think the door's open a little bit in the AFC West. Like, it's Chiefs and everybody else, so maybe you become the second best team in that division. Might be a playoff team. Just saying, Raiders.
All right,
it's the one team I got circled.
We are putting it on our calendar for 5 months from now. Okay. So, all right. So, like I was saying, Brady probably not going to be back on a football field. Might be in Kentucky this weekend.
That's a bet I like better.
He likes to
go.
What
are the odds on that?
Kentucky Derby. Minus 250. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know if he might be
minus 170 on my my big board.
Like what? All right. So let's get into Derby talk. We know nothing about horse racing. I think it's fair. I think it's important to be upfront about that. Do you want to dig into?
Yeah, I mean, we like racing and we like horses.
We do. So we're going to kind of attack this from a different angle.
Red guy or yellow guy?
Whatever. It's up to you.
I'll give you
red.
Red.
Okay, so we've
got our catch up.
Our Derby hats. It feels apropos this time of year. I have a much bigger bucket than you do.
My fit's nice. To be honest with you.
I pull this thing down, cover my eye. So we're gonna kind of just hit on a bunch of stuff here to kind of try to figure out what it is, what makes a winning horse. But I did want to kind of point out some of just the silliness of this. I think there's some tie-in here between the NFL draft. That's a horse. The NFL draft and the Kentucky Derby. So I want to put you through a couple of exercises here.
I sure could use some. Sure could use a workout.
So we're going to start here. I just think it's kind of ridiculous how we talk about these people and these horses, whether it's in the draft or whether it's Kentucky Derby. So I did some research for both the draft and the Kentucky Derby, and I was blown away by the scouting reports that there are for everybody. So I'm going to give you a scouting report nugget, and you need to tell me if it's a horse or an NFL draftee. Okay. The first one is,
and also real quick. You made this abundantly clear that I could not look at the Kentucky Derby odds.
Don't look at the L bar.
I won't. I'll look at you, but you blindfolded me for the better part of 2 weeks, so I know nothing about this year's.
That is a fair point. That we do. We're about to handicap the Derby, and you have no idea.
Nothing. I don't know the names.
All right, so we're gonna go through this really fast. This first one, this entity has not dominated the juvenile division.
That would be a horse.
Yeah, I started out with a layup.
Yeah, thank you.
The second one is shows an impressive ability to flip his hips and get on his horse.
That's going to be draft.
So I'm giving you a couple softballs.
Okay, yeah.
All right, let's get into it. While his lack of experience leaves open the possibility of tactical experiments, it would be a rather radical makeover for him to unleash a closing kick.
That's got to be horse.
That is a horse. Next one. Chances are that this comes too soon for the still maturing sophomore who stands to get stronger over time.
That's draft.
That is a horse.
Oh, no way.
2-year-old horses.
Wow.
Next one. His lack of lower half weight shows up when he's asked to anchor.
That's draft.
That is draft. Yeah, that might be. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
That's a lineman, right?
Yeah, I think it was. This next one, but the one-turn metric mile posed a bit of a culture shock, especially once he relapsed into a sluggish start against speedier rivals who were in the element at that configuration.
Say what? That's Derby. That's horse.
Yeah. No one is faster. Oh, excuse me. Power is good when he has momentum. If not, it is not dominant.
Horse.
That is an NFL draft. splitting foes like a seasoned pro, he kicked away with authority.
That's a horse.
That is a horse, but it could be a kicker.
Yeah, absolutely could.
He has so much ability and does things so easily. We haven't gotten close to the bottom of him yet.
This horse is shrouded in mystery. What was that?
He has so much ability and does things so easily. We haven't gotten close to the bottom of him yet.
That's draft.
That is a horse.
Oh, man.
He has flexible groin/hips to sit low and get his butt down.
That's draft.
Yeah, it is.
Another lineman.
Is there any butt talk in the horse race industry? I don't know. He's expected to be bustling and remains a promising and talented type, but his lack of professionalism must be overcome.
That's draft.
That's a horse.
It's lack of professionalism. No, nobody wants an ass. I want a disciplined horse.
He doesn't have we don't have a good gauge on his relative talent level.
I mean, that could be you and I.
That is a fair point. Yeah.
It's draft.
That's a horse. And finally, he has a burst from a standstill, but is pigeon-toed in his setup and has to adjust the front foot to come off the line. Has good size and runs well, and he will keep getting better.
That's a draft.
That is a draft. That is actually the scouting report of Michael Gallup. I thought was a appropriate.
Wow, interesting.
All things considered.
Way to tie everything together.
He just signed a Gallup horse. Okay. I think you can see where I'm going.
Yeah.
So
we're witty, if nothing else.
I guess we pause here before we get into our next activity to kind of go over some actual stuff. One thing I would like to point out, the weather is always a consideration for the Kentucky Derby. There's going to be scattered storms Friday for the Kentucky Oaks. You say Kentucky Oaks, that is the Friday event. I think when you mention Kentucky Oaks, It makes you sound smarter. So there's the Kentucky Oaks on Friday. They might get some scattered storms. Saturday looks to be beautiful. It's going to be a beautiful day. The track's going to be dry. We're not running through any mud. The kickback's not going to be a huge issue.
Kentucky Derby is a big-time bucket list thing for me. And now knowing that the weather's, this should have been the year.
There's plenty of time, my friend. I don't
have the monetary capital for that.
So this is the other thing I want to really get into is I'm looking there. I'm watching weather reports this morning for Lexington, Kentucky. I was just curious, like, what's the pollen situation this time of year? Because maybe I'll go to
clear
Kentucky.
that is top of mind for you.
Because I'm dealing with it. I am going through it. Tree pollen is still high in Kentucky. That's right now. It's the same thing here. I think grass pollen is also a bit of an issue here. Not as much there. Have you ever heard of equine asthma?
No, please.
Horses have allergies too, and equine asthma can affect the way horses breathe and. I
could see that.
They get some runny nose. They get some itchy eyes.
That last quarter mile could be tough.
It's more of an issue in fall.
All right.
So it's not going to be much of an issue here.
You never know. Don't sleep on it, Mike.
I saw that. I read a story on Purdue University about that. As part of their media package or packet in that, they also had a GIF of a horse on a treadmill that I watched for probably 5 minutes. So
that's what you were doing all day yesterday.
Yeah.
Is Mike going to work today?
That's true.
Just watching horses on treadmills.
So I also think, too, like this is important to – one thing I've always thought about sharp bettors or people who are good at betting is that a lot of them – some of them are super in the weeds. I think a lot of being good at betting is being good at communicating, have a good network, and knowing who to ask the right questions to. So you and I we were starting to talk about this. We said, well, who do we want to talk to for the Derby? And we kind of just
besides Richard Karn because he's our white whale of guests.
And we didn't
talk to him about anything.
We didn't get anybody. Yeah. So, but I'm Googling stuff and I kind of was like, well, I'm just basically Googling Kentucky Derby, blah, blah, blah. I stumbled across the fact, and we should have probably got one of these people on, roller derby is very big.
Yeah.
We were just basically at the point where, like, let's just Google derby over and over. And so roller derby came up, and I just want to play another quick exercise here.
Are you going to be quick, though?
I know. I'm going to give you name. You just tell me this is a roller derby participant, player, skater, whatever it is, or a horse in the Kentucky Derby, and I'll kind of mix in some information as we go.
Okay.
All right. Let's start with Billy Bitch Slap.
That's a roller skater. Whatever the hell you
that is
call
a roller derbier. Urban Ninja.
Derby player.
That's a roller derby participant.
Yeah.
Silent but deadly.
Oh man, there's a lot of chatter about that today. A horse.
No, that's roller derby. Epic Ride.
That's a horse.
Kentucky Derby 50-1 out of the 21 post. That's a long shot. So Catching Freedom.
Horse.
Also a horse. 8-1 coming out of the 4 post. By the way, you don't want to be on the inside gate. That's 1 through 4. Because if you get in the inside gate, you can kind of get stuck. The inside draw is bad. There hasn't been a winner out of the inside gate 1 through 4 since 2010 when Super Saver won. Next one up, Sam I Wham.
That's got to be a player.
It is a player. Mango Pit.
Horse.
That is a roller derby skater, a woman with of red hair who has.
I'm not familiar with their game.
Does not armpits.
Oh.
So Mango Pit. Got it. Okay.
I got it.
Fierceness.
Just that feels like a horse.
That's the Kentucky Derby favorite. 5-2 coming out of the 17. The 17 post has never had a winner in 42 starts. With the scratch of Encino, Fierceness will move to the inside 1 post and break from the 16. Generally, though, according to this, I think this is from V's, and you're looking between the 5 and the 16. So keep that in mind as we get closer. Let's run through these last ones. Sockham's Razor.
Player.
Great name. It is a player. Soda Pop Ruckus.
Horse.
Roller Derby. Just a Touch.
That's a horse.
Yeah, 10-1 out of the 8th spot. Catalytic.
Horse.
It is. Historically, the most wins have come from the number 5 post. But
Just a touch. I got my
31.
eyes on him.
Okay, so Just a Touch is your guy?
Yeah, I think so.
right.
Would you say what were the odds on that? 10-1?
Just a Touch was... just a touch. This I don't know. Oh, 10-1. Excuse me.
Okay.
Out of the 8 post. There you go. You're right in line. The 8 post 10-1 feels good. For me, I'm looking at Forever Young. Japanese owner or trainer has never won the Kentucky Derby. I think this is the time. This is a horse that is 5 for 5. He's got 5 different wins in 3 countries. Has won from the front, one from the back.
What a globetrotter.
Been all over the world. The owner Yoshida Yohagi, Mr. Worldwide as they call him. This is a horse that's been described as tough. I love it. Great grandfather, Sunday Silence, 1989 Derby winner. Forever Young, 10-1 out of 11 spots. My pick. We gotta get out of here.
Yeah, we do. Just a touch. Forever Young. Book it.
We'll be back next week to collect our winnings. Thank you for joining us on the spread. Thanks for bearing with us, and we'll see you again next week. Goodbye.